So, dear colleagues, we're continuing our working day and we are giving the floor to the OSCE SMM Principal Deputy Chief Monitor, Alexander Hook.
Good afternoon, dear friends. Last week, you may remember, I reported on the signing of the framework agreement on disengagement of forces and hardware from three proposed areas, namely Stanitsia Luhanska, Solote-Pervomaisk area, and the Petrivske-Bohdanivka area. Point 2 of the framework agreement envisages, and I quote, the maintenance of a 7-day comprehensive ceasefire verified by the OSCE Special Monitoring Mission. The agreement, which was signed by the sides, foresees, and I quote, patrolling and remote observations in the agreed disengagement areas. The sides, in accordance with the agreement, are, and I quote, to ensure safety and secure access for OSCE SMM monitors. Point 10 of the agreement outlines the role of the Joint Center for Control and Coordination. In particular, it stipulates that the JCCC, and I quote, shall assist in ensuring rapid response to any eventual impediments to the OSCE SMM's monitoring and verification activities. The framework decision is a public document, and I encourage you to familiarize yourselves with it. On that link here, you will be able to access the agreement on our website. Dear friends, since I last spoke to you, the monitors of the OSCE Special Monitoring Mission have made repeated and sustained efforts to monitor in these three areas. We are ready and fully committed with monitors on the ground every day in these areas. I have accompanied some of those patrols attempting to gain access to the Solote-Pervomaisk area on Monday, Stanitsa Luhanska on Tuesday, and the Petrivske-Bohdanivka area on Wednesday. The truth is, we have had not full, unimpeded access to these three designated areas. The truth is, the sites have repeatedly blocked our access to these areas, and the sites have failed to ensure safe access for our monitors. The sites have repeatedly thwarted these efforts of the OSCE SMM to monitor and verify in the three designated disengagement areas. Last week, for instance, our patrols were denied 16 times, on all occasions bar free. These denials of access happened in or around the three proposed disengagement areas. This, however, is just the tip of the iceberg. Impediments to SMM monitoring came in many forms, all of which the sites have committed to removing, but have not. This is what we faced in the Solote-Pervomaisk area on Tuesday. The sites have committed to remove these obstacles. They clearly have not. And beyond these concrete blocks that you see here are anti-personnel mines and anti-tank mines. Again, the sites should have removed them. Again, the sites have failed to do so. Similarly, in the Petrivske area on Wednesday, we faced the threat of mines, effectively meaning our access was denied. This is what we saw on the road between Petrivske and Bohdanivka. The previous day on this road, immediately north of the Petrivska disengagement area, our monitors saw anti-personnel mines, preventing them from safely accessing the disengagement area. So-called DPR members present actually told us they would not demine along the road. The road is essential for the SMM remote observation in the area. Remote observation is foreseen in Section 11 of the framework decision. One of our unmanned aerial vehicles west of Petrivske was in fact repeatedly jammed this week, forcing the cancellation of these flights. And this is what we have seen in the Stanica Luhanska area. I could continue, I could go on and on outlining example after example of impediments to our monitoring. The presence of mines, physical obstacles and barriers, efforts to stop us remotely monitoring, refusal to allow us pass through checkpoints. The list is long and the practice continues. What is important to note here is that in all three disengagement areas, the OSCE SMM has, since the signing of the framework agreement on 21st of September, noted a constant Minsk violation, and indeed a violation of the framework decision itself, either no access or, at best, very limited access. Dear friends, the drafters of the framework agreement are not naive. They expected there would be initial problems. Hence, as I mentioned earlier, the Joint Center for Control and Coordination was given the role of ensuring rapid response to impediments to the OSCE SMM's monitoring and verification. On Monday in Solidar, the Ukrainian and Russian Federation generals attached to the Joint Center for Control and Coordination led me to believe that the JCCC would act jointly to ensure safe access for the OSCE SMM and that demining would take place. What I saw on the ground, however, is a different story. On Tuesday in Petrivske, when our monitors saw anti-personnel mines, Russian Federation representatives to the JCCC were nowhere to be seen. The next day in Petrivske, both the Ukrainian and Russian Federation officers attached to the JCCC claimed they had no instructions to coordinate or even communicate with each other. Effectively, each of them would do nothing to allow safe access for the SMM to the area or to facilitate mine clearance. Coordination between the elements within the Joint Center for Control and Coordination is also essential to ensure adherence to the ceasefire. Adherence to the ceasefire is a basic requirement if the OSCE SMM is to patrol in the disengagement areas. Dear friends, the framework agreement on disengagement is not about SMM access. SMM access is not a condition for disengagement. SMM access is just the means to a greater end. Access, however, is essential in that it allows the OSCE SMM to monitor and verify that the sites have ceased fire and later withdrawn hardware and personnel from the three designated areas. There is still time. The framework agreement stipulates that the sites have 13 days from the signing of the agreement to implement it in the first 3 areas. Despite the failures of the past week, we have seen some indications that the sides understand the need to act. The so-called LPR, for instance, has removed some of the concrete blocks in the Solote-Pervomaisk area. In the same area, we have also seen some efforts on the part of the Ukraine armed forces to demine. And this is what we have seen there on Tuesday. These are small steps, but tell me that the sides understand that if this agreement is to work, all components must be implemented. I believe there is a clear commitment at the high level to make this agreement work. Leaders on both sides have, after all, signed it. We have also received baseline information from the sides as required in the agreement. Now, this commitment, however, needs to be translated on the ground. There needs to be clear orders and communications at all levels, and the Joint Center for Control and Coordination needs to be in the fore of this process. The JCCC needs a more hands-on approach in coordinating demining, facilitating security guarantees for the SMM. And this needs to happen now. It cannot wait until after disengagement. At that stage, the presence of armed forces and formations in the disengagement areas would constitute a violation. Dear friends, this agreement can work. The political will is there. The resources are available. We stand ready and able. I appeal to the sides not to allow technical details to get in the way. I appeal to them to coordinate through the JCCC and adhere to agreed timeframes. There is too much at stake. If the sides coordinate to ensure safe access for the OSCE SMM, we can verify withdrawal. Through verification, there is trust, and only with trust can the sides start with the difficult process of disengagement. Not just in the 3 agreed areas, but ultimately all across the contact line. If the sides act now, normalization is possible. I urge them not to lose this chance. And dear friends, at the end, as usual, I would like to inform you about the latest mission numbers. As of today, the mission has 705 monitors, of whom 600 are deployed in the east. In addition, there are 317 Ukrainian colleagues and 93 other international staff working for the OSCE Special Monitoring Mission to Ukraine. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hook. Do we have any questions? We don't have any questions, so at this point the press conference is finished. Thank you for coming and looking forward to seeing you here next Friday. Bye-bye. Шановні колеги, наступна подія о 14:00.